make sure that any of the works wouldn't impact on any archaeology sites along the route. And so, for example, we just confirmed, yep, the holy well is there, different things, and worked with the guys who were, I suppose, doing up the paths to make sure that nothing was done that might damage it in any way, because we know mini diggers brought in or anything like that, which can sometimes happen. And I suppose what we found out some really, really interesting things, and there's very few places, I suppose, that in such a short area have an unbroken sequence of activity from the Mesolithic period, so you're looking at 5,000, 7,000 BC, right up to the modern day. And I suppose if we start at the beginning, the Mesolithic period is when, after the ice sheets retreated, and it was the time of the first Irish settlers after the ice age, and they would have all lived along the coast of Ireland, and there's very little evidence of these settlers at all, because they lived in very temporary camps where they would put down maybe temporary structures, they'd fish, they'd move on, they'd fish, they'd move on, so they left very little impact on the landscape. However, what's very interesting is, as Malcolm pointed out, there's a Napper's Cave on the way down, and there was flint artefacts found there, and they could date from any period. Graham Warren looked at them from UCD, who also lives in Wicklow, and he was saying they could date from anywhere between 8,000 to 1,500 BC. So you can imagine there was somebody there taking flint pebbles from the beach, working them with stones and making them into arrowheads again to, I suppose, to hunt and fish. And then as you move on then, after the Mesolithic period, then we found a new site at Dunbar Cove on the way in, and I'll show you that as we're going back out. But you notice where as we started onto the cliff walk, we were down the cove swimming and that. And in the bank there, you can see the remains of what is a burnt mound, which is a Fullocht Fia. So they date from the Bronze Age right up until the medieval period. So it could be 2,500 BC. And that's another example. Like, this area was very important, I suppose, in that area, in the prehistoric era. And what burnt mounds were, they were essentially places for boiling water. What they did was, the Bronze Age peoples would find a stream or a spring, dig a hole in the ground, then that would fill naturally with water. Sometimes they'd line it with wood. They'd heat a fire, they'd use stone, heat the stone on the fire. When it was sufficiently hot, then they put it into the water and it would boil. They say that it could have been used for brewing, cooking, bathing, as a sauna or a sweat house. So again, that was a new site that we didn't know about. And then, I suppose, as you move on then, another couple of hundred years or in history, we have the Bronze Age activity. Then what happened was the Neolithic came along, and that was the new Stone Age, and that was the period of the first farming communities. After this, then you're moving into the Bronze Age and the Iron Age, and then the early medieval period, so about 500 AD. And this was a time when, I suppose, when Ireland became Christianised. So St. Patrick came over, and Kilmanton founded a site in Wicklow Town, and this was the period of the first Christian communities in Ireland. And what they often did was that they took, before that Ireland was pagan, so they would have worshipped holy wells. Well, they weren't called holy wells, but what the likes of St. Patrick and all that did was, in order to change the people from pagan into Christian, they blessed the holy wells, because they couldn't let the people abandon them. And so St. Bride's holy well up there was apparently used. We searched through the folklore files, couldn't find anything in UCD which would record, you might get glimpses of, I suppose, things that aren't in books, they might record local traditions, but we couldn't find anything, but oral tradition has it that sailors used to drink out of St. Bride's holy well there for protection at sea. So these were, and a lot of times these holy wells are associated with church sites. And again, we have, where Margaret's standing here, we have a church. Now this church site, it's completely overgrown, so as part of the archaeological survey, we just cut back all the bracken, exposed the stones, and just took some drone photographs of it. And we could see then that this church site, again, local tradition, I suppose, we don't, again, the folklore files didn't have any specific information on it, but it's reputed to have been built between, around the time of the penal law. So they were at their worst. This is when I suppose Catholicism was completely outbanned, and you weren't allowed to practice. There were priest hunters going around the town, and I know John Finlay has done a lot of work on the history of the Wicklow and what was happening at that time. But this would have been then built. This is what local tradition is, that it was built around 1690 to 1729. And what happened was that the Catholics would have mass rocks as well, so people would gather and they'd, I suppose, practice their faith. And here this is supposedly a penal church. Now again, it could be a bit earlier. Like the construction of the stone is different compared to this. It's dry stone. But the only way we'd be absolutely certain as to the date would be to do maybe a little excavation and to see would we find anything or any artifacts that might date it with certainty, just to add more. It's a shame that it's overgrown completely, but that's cracking, unfortunately. And then beside us here, then we have the Lime-Kiln, and this gives the name to the bay, Lime-Kiln Bay. And this Lime-Kiln then was again, these were used. There were many purposes for them. I suppose at home they were used for whitewashing. They were used for pesticides. They were used for many different uses. And then on an industrial scale, what they would have used was for lime mortar and to build, for example, the likes of the lighthouses up there. Now, there's also local lore that says that if they were found, we'll say at the church, people will come here and pretend that they were working on the Lime-Kiln. But it's possible that this kiln then was used then to build the lighthouses, to construct the lighthouses up there. And we know that the lighthouses were in use. If that was the case, then the first lighthouse was built in 1755 and the second one 1835. So they were used for around 60 years. This was in use for around a period of 60 years. So also other things that lime would have been used for would have been for soaking animal hides to burn off the hair and for tannery. And then in the domestic, one thing that we found out, which was quite interesting, again, which is not proven, but we found out that when we were doing the research, that in some places oyster shells, there's a record that the lime was being brought in the bay, but the nearest lime source would be in Dublin. But in Arklow, it was an extremely prolific, had prolific oyster beds in the 19th century. And they used to they had 3,000 tonnes produced every year, and like in the 1900s. And today there's only 300 for the whole of Ireland, so you can see how prolific they were. Now, why the oyster beds went out of use could have been because of the Avoca mines, all the metals and that leaking into the waters. But if you can imagine, there would have been a huge amount of oyster shells on the beach and around the area, and perhaps they would have been used then as instead of lime in the construction, because they were easier it needed less heat and less less processing, and it was more readily available. So again, that will be an interesting one. If again, hopefully once we put out this information out there, somebody will come back with, it's amazing what knowledge people have that's been handed down from generation to generation. And then moving then, I suppose, up to we're staying in the 19th century again, and as Malcolm pointed out on the way down to the walk, we found the rifle range, and that's on the 1897 second edition map, and it would have been on that map there was 3 firing ranges. There was a 600 metre, there was a 600 yard, 500 yard, and the 200 yards. And the 600 and the 500 were in Wicklow Golf Club, so that's, they're gone. But the 200 yards one is the one that we're walking past that Malcolm would have pointed out. Now it's quite overgrown at the moment, but we knew that there was an 1855, there was an army list from 1855, and we knew that the Wicklow Rifles is what they were called. They were originally stationed in Arklow, but then in 1877 they were headquartered here to Wicklow, so that's probably where they were practicing. And the colonel at the time there was a John Stanley from Castletown, from Castle Hard House near Avoca, and he won medals in the Crimean War. But we know that the time, we'll say that the time that this was in use would have been the time of the Boer War, so the English would have been, I suppose, fighting over in Africa against the first Dutch settlers. There would have been over minerals and resources and that. So it's quite interesting to put, to put it into, I suppose, the wider historical picture of what was happening in the world at the time. And but we know again, we found, again looking through, I suppose, army records and that, we know that in 1901 there was a correspondence between two colonels, and they were inquiring as to whether the Wicklow artillery would they be training in Cork or in Wicklow, and the response was back that there was no units of garrison artillery stationed anymore in Wicklow. So we know by 1901 they weren't practicing here anymore. So it'd be quite interesting again there to see, maybe to clear it back a little bit, to see was there any, I suppose, any of the ammunition or anything like that dropped, you know what I mean, on the ground, what else could be there. And that's really, I suppose, it shows the unbroken sequence of, like you're going from the Mesolithic right up until 1901 really. And like that's, as I said, there's a lot more. This always happens when you start researching, you start uncovering. There's a lot more answers then that a lot more questions that need answering. So I suppose what would be fantastic would be if we could maybe find out a little bit more about this church, maybe do a little bit more work on the rifle range, and and clean up this and make sure, to see can we find any more information and add to the record. So that's all I have. So if you have any questions at all, and I hope that was okay.
Thank you, Yvonne, for coming on today. That was very informative. It was great to hear the history of the whole area. And this is why Friends of the Murrah, the group that we're involved with, have been passionate about getting this cliff walk reopened for the public, so that everyone can enjoy what is here, for time eternal, hopefully, And we also involved with the Murrah. So the name the Murrah comes from obviously the coastline north of Wicklow Town. So that's where traditionally we established our group. We're protecting sort of the Murrah and doing coastal cleanups, and we also used to lead walks into what was known as Broadloch, which is a sea lake in behind Wicklow Town there. So thanks again for coming. We're going to crack on now. We're going to bring you on up to the headland itself and do the loop walk, which will then, and we'll be coming back down then the headland and back out the cliff walk today. So listen, thanks again. Cheers.